Okay, so I got this 2018 Camry, right? And disconnected the battery on there. And this I'll explain it later, but let me demonstrate a little something, a little demonstration. So we got this this drain bolt. Once we get this drain bolt out, and that's a 10mm hex. Okay, once we get it out, then we're gonna drain about 1.5 quarts is gonna drain out of there. 1.5 quarts to 2 quarts, something like that. Now, not only do you have to drain that, inside there's another drain plug. There's this guy right here, and he goes in there, and that's the final drain. So once this is off, it'll drain it completely, and then once this comes off, like another 2 quarts is going to come out. And once those 2 quarts come out, then we know, hey, okay, that's measured. So it's 2 quarts in there where this part is at, and 2 quarts where that part is at. Approximately 2 quarts where that part. That part could be less, but the specifications call for 1 whole gallon of oil just for a drain and fill on this. So we're gonna go back to the top, and I'm gonna show you. For this, there's 2 different chambers. There's, okay, the chamber that's in here, I guess it's like a sealed chamber inside the transmission. There's like a sealed chamber inside the transmission, and then there's a second chamber inside the transmission that goes around that one. So we got the center one, and we got the outside chamber. So we're gonna add two quarts to the outside chamber and 2 quarts to the inside chamber. So the inside chamber, which is this one, I took out about 2 quarts on it. I already measured it. It's about two quarts. So for that, we're gonna add the fluid. For the inside chamber, you can't just add fluid in one area and that's it. You have to add fluid in here. That's a 24mm socket, and that's the chamber that I'm talking about for the center. That's the chamber that's gonna go for this piece right here. That's the chamber in there. That's for that chamber. Okay, now the chamber for that, for the bolt on the bottom down there, the 10mm hex, it's a separate chamber. This is the chamber over here. And for this, I disconnected the battery, and I unplugged this. I took a 10mm off. I just slid this right off. You don't really want to pull on this too much because there's some wires on it. Explain it. Nothing's gonna happen. So what you want to do is you want to add like the 1.5 to 2 quarts in there, and then you want to add your other 2 quarts in there, and that'll make it a whole gallon. That, according to specs, is what it's supposed to have. Alright, and that's a 24mm. You want to use a short socket on that because this wall right here is not going to give you any room. So that's about it. And you can see here where I did my little MacGyver thing, because I'm an engineer like that and I make things better, so that I can use my regular socket on that, because all I have is deep sockets. It's kind of hard to find a short socket 24mm for that. So that's basically how I did it. And then you want to add it, you can add it with a pump. The rest of the fluid you can add it with a pump, or you can get yourself one of these funnels right here, which is pretty simple, basic, like a $3 funnel at the AutoZone, and it'll fit in there, and you can hold it up like so, and then add the fluid. So that's the explanation to that. That's how I figured it out. I mean, there's other ways, there's other people who show you stuff, but I mean, this is common sense to me, and this is the way that, you know, I ended up doing. Everybody has their own methods, you know. Unplug the battery and take this little air box out the way. Done. Alrighty, so here we go. I just use a regular screwdriver. You don't have to tighten this thing super hard. You just gotta put it in there, make sure it goes in there right. So I put this guy in there. It's gonna leak a little bit, but that's good. It's good for it. This guy in there. Give him a little flat head. Just stick it in there. And I'll just snug it in there. It doesn't have to be too tight. Because when I took it off, it wasn't tight at all. It was just kind of like snug in there. But even though it's snug, it does hold the oil in place. So that's okay. There we go. That's all we're gonna do. Nice and snug in there. And got that one in there. So now we get the 10mm. We'll put this guy back on. Right there. And we're just gonna tighten it. I got a breaker bar over here somewhere. And I'll get back to this right now. Okay, so this is what it calls for if you don't go to the dealership. Just want to pause on that. And then this was inside the chamber where the yellow plug was at. And you can see right here it says 3 quarts, and then right there it says 2 quarts. If you hold it like real straight, you can see exactly. This is not really level here. But when you hold it level, it's like about 2 quarts, just a little bit over 2 quarts, over the 2 quart line. This is 3 quarts, and there's a 2 quart down there. So that's what I'm gonna add to the inside part. So I'm gonna add 2 quarts in here. Put that guy in there. I'll just add the 2 quarts in there. We'll get back to it. Okay. Here's the number 2. A little bit under the 2. We got the 2 quarts in there. Leaked out a little bit, but it's okay. And we're gonna put the plug back on. Okay, now I'm gonna add the rest of this in here. Slowly. And then once this is all in there, we're gonna put it back together and we're gonna start the car.